Good morning, and welcome to the third episode of the Ericka Redic Show. Today we'll be discussing if Phil Scott will leave the GOP. In the 2020 Vermont gubernatorial race, Phil Scott demolished his Democrat progressive opponent David Zuckerman, receiving 67% of the vote to win his third term. Scott is one of only 2 Republicans to win statewide office in the last 10 years, and has one of the highest approval ratings of any governor in the country. So it may surprise you that the governor is hearing from a growing number of voices that he ought to consider leaving the Republican Party. But it's not party leaders who want him to leave, it's the voters, from both the left and the right. From the left, progressive columnist John Walters says Democrats and progressives are absolutely giddy at the thought of Scott's departure, which he believes would destroy the Vermont Republican Party. Another GOP critic, Art Edelstein of Calais, echoed the call for Scott to leave the GOP in a January 13th Times-Argus letter to the editor. He said, "It's time for Scott to fully unblemish his reputation by leaving the Republican Party. He doesn't have to join the Democratic or Progressive parties," Edelstein continued. "He could just declare himself an independent for now. Jim Jeffords left the Republicans in 2001. As you may recall, Senator Jeffords left the Republican Party in protest against what he perceived as a failure of leadership by the Bush administration. This gave control of the U.S. Senate to Democrats." But Phil Scott, would he really leave the GOP? The man, elected senator, lieutenant governor, and governor as a Republican, says that depends on the direction of the national and state leadership. Here's what he told VT Digger editor Ann Galloway at a January 15th press conference.
I think the Republican Party is going to have to do some soul searching and figure out what our values are, what we can agree upon, and whether indeed they believe this is a party of Trump, whether if they're going to continue with some of what I perceive as white supremacy dominating, racial inequity, and so forth, then we'll all have to make some decisions.
Governor, leaders of the Republican Party have been spreading conspiracy theories about a free and fair election, and last week helped incite a violent assault on the U.S. Capitol. If that doesn't cause you to question your role in the party, what would?
Well, I think I've been very vocal, and as you have probably written about what I believe this was a fair election.
Did you catch Miss Galloway's implication there? It sounded like she said all Republicans are complicit in the actions of rioters in D.C. That's an interesting take on the circumstances. Governor Scott has made other scathing remarks about his fellow Republicans over the last several weeks, which has led, at least in part, to a citizen petition asking him to leave the party. In December, conservative activist Jim Sexton asked every Vermont county chair to boot Scott out of the party, but he was met with resistance to the idea. Sexton decided instead to go straight to the people and, in the meantime, garnered the support of the chair of the Essex Republican Party, Ron Lawrence. As a party leader, Lawrence cautioned against letting Trump be what divides the party. After all, Governor Scott himself is pro-choice, a belief not normally acceptable by conservative voters.
Well, that's the problem. It was such a broad brush stroke that he really smeared the entire party, as far as I can see. And again, I think it was just a step too far. It's not something that I would expect from the leader of our party, who, and it's not something I would expect from somebody who says that they want to unite the party. Okay, they're very divisive words. Maybe the party should be doing more to try and embrace the governor But he has disappointed us on a number of occasions with the bills that he has signed. The things that Republicans in general want to champion, our governor should be out there helping us to champion those things. He's just not feeling like a guy who's about uniting the party.
Jim Sexton says Scott's actions demonstrate a lack of respect for traditional conservative values. He cites the various bills Scott has signed or not vetoed, which remove the personhood rights of an unborn baby, infringe on individual liberties, including the right to self-protection, and that Scott has been fiscally irresponsible.
And the people that voted for Donald Trump, they don't idolize Donald Trump. They idolize the fact that somebody's fighting for their constitutional rights and protecting them and actually did what they said for Republicans. Bill Scott has shown over the last 4 years numerous occasions where he is not supporting or protecting Republican or conservative values. But all of a sudden, American patriots that go to Washington to try to defend their vote and their country are white supremacists and racist. He's chosen sides.
So what does the Republican Party have to say about racism and white supremacy? Specifically, the platform states that they promote and support respect for the inherent value of all human life, regardless of age, gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, ability, religion, socioeconomic status, or national origin. We value the sanctity of life from conception to natural death. Doesn't sound very white supremacist and racist to me, but at a conference last week, Scott emphasized his identity as a Republican. If the Republican Party doesn't want me to be a member of their club, he said, that's one thing. But I'm still going to be a Republican. That doesn't change who I am who I am. The struggle for political control of the Republican Party probably won't end anytime soon. Can the two wings of the party, the progressive Republicans and the conservative Republicans, get it together and focus on their mutual opponents? Or will they allow their ideological differences win the day? One thing is for sure, the only ones who stand to win at the end of this fight are their opponents. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.